Sorry, this one too, because there's multiple translations. So I guess the first thing I'd like to open up the floor if anyone has read through it so far or has read it in the past and has some general thoughts on the first chapter. I'd like to open up the floor to that, and then after we think about that, then I think we'll just start reading it through and talking about things as we go. So, anyone have any itching thoughts or insights into this chapter?
It's just like a setup, he's setting it up, like,
Okay,
saying
interesting. Yeah, say
all is
more.
all is feudal.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an introduction, I think. I think that's a good way to look at it. Because this is gonna set up sort of the whole bent of the book. Okay, fine. So we'll start.
Well,
I think,
I have one question.
yeah, please, yeah.
Why does he call himself I Koheles?
Okay. What's the question? It's about Koheles or it's about
Well,
double
that's
language?
his name is Shlomo, right? So
Okay,
why is
good.
he calling himself this name?
Great. Awesome.
I Kohelet.
Good. So okay, so that's the first pasuk, right? Divrei Koheles ben David Melech b'Yerushalayim, the words of someone named Koheles, the son of David, king in Yerushalayim, who we associate and assume was Shlomo HaMelech. So good. So why doesn't he say Divrei Shlomo ben David Melech b'Yerushalayim? Great question. I don't have a great answer, but I do have a couple of answers to what Koheles means, where that name comes from. So Rashi, so again, it comes from language of kahal, the same word as kehila. It's the same root kuf hey lamed, and that implies some sort of collective. It implies some sort of group. So Rashi says he was called Koheles because he assembled wisdom, right? Which we know Shlomo HaMelech, we have a tradition, was the wisest of the sages and the wisest of kings. I mean, we have three works that are associated with Shlomo. We have Koheles, we have Mishle, we have Shir Hashirim. And so this is someone who is involved in collecting wisdom into these books. Some of the one of the terms used by Bible scholars also is wisdom literature, that Ecclesiastes is some form of wisdom literature. I think Job might be part of that, and I know Proverbs is for sure. So Koheles actually works pretty nicely with that he assembled wisdom. The Metzudas Tzion, apparently, not sure who that was, but it's a commentary on its commentary. He says a similar thing, but not so much that Shlomo just collected wisdom, but more that he collected and then adjudicated, right? Like he took some like various disagreements and opinions, and he carefully decided this is sort of what we believe, I guess, or this is what he believes is correct out of the various opinions. And then the Medrash and the Septuagint, right? The Septuagint is like the original translation of the Bible into Greek, an important work, the Targum Shivim, we call it. So the Medrash, the Septuagint, and supposedly many modern scholars think that it has more to do with the fact that Shlomo assembled the people together to tell them the wisdom, right? Not that he's assembling the wisdom, but that he's causing people to assemble, which works nice with the idea that it's Kehila. That he assembled people to share this wisdom. I saw actually in a commentary, a buddy of mine recently, my buddy Jonas, who I think at this point most of you guys have met.
Yeah.
He like came across, he works in a library, so sometimes he'll get like random free books that people leave at the library, but the library has no use for them. And one of them is a really nice Sansino 5 Megillos set. And so in their blurb about what Koheles was, and I assume this comes from a Medrash, but in their blurb they say that that the reason why we read Koheles on Sukkot is because Shlomo HaMelech assembled everyone during Sukkot to give over these ideas and to dispel I guess, foreign ideas of some sort. You know, again, I don't know where they got that source from, but I assume that's the Medrash, because I know, again, the Medrash is one of the sources for the ideas that he collected people to share the wisdom. So those are three approaches to what the name is. Now, again, why this name change all of a sudden? Not sure, not sure. So that's the first pasuk. I'm just going to go and follow along in the Hebrew, and translate as we go. So Divrei Koheles ben David Melch b'Yerushalayim, Havel Havalim Amar Koheles, Havel Havalim Hakol Havel. So Art Scroll says futility of futilities, all is futile. The Yehoyash is one of the Yiddish translations. He says Nishtikite. That's a funny word. But this is classically translated in English as vanity of vanities, all is vanity. So what is Hevel? So Hevel comes from, it means like air or breath, right? It's the same root as like breath. So I think really fleeting is a good translation for Havel Havalim, right? Everything is fleeting, everything is temporary, nothing is so set in stone. This is all like a breath. It's in and out and it's gone. So he says, "My Yisron," right? We're in the third pasuk. "My Yisron la'adam b'chol amolo sheyamol tachas hashamash." Right? What gain is there? What reward is there for a person from all that they are involved with, from all that they're working on under the sun? So we actually saw last week that under the sun here, the Chazal read this as under the sun implies worldly pursuits, specifically like farming and business and worldly pursuits. But that there is, of course, reward in Torah study. But on a very simple surface level, it sort of sounds like no matter what you work at in this life, what does it ultimately amount to? So we start this sort of dark take on the world. Thoughts so far? Okay, so he says, what gain is there for a person? And now he says, Dor holech v'dor ba, ve'aretz la'olam omedes. A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth abides forever, right? The earth stays forever. V'zorach hashemesh, and the sun rises, uva hashemesh, or the zorach hashemesh, the sun sets, uva hashemesh, and the sun rises. Ve'el makomo sho'ef, and it returns to its place, zoreach husham, it returns back to the place where it rises, right? That Hebrew is a little tricky, but the sun, it rises and sets, and it keeps rising and setting, and it keeps going around and around and around. The sixth verse is an interesting one. Holech el darom, v'sovev el tzafon. It goes to the south and encircles the north. Sovev, around and around. Holech haruach, the wind blows around and around. Ve'al svivosav shav haruach, and it returns and goes in and out through its cycles. I'm going to read the Art Scroll is interesting because Art Scroll says that the first half of the verse is still referring to the sun, and the second half is referring to the wind. Right, so it goes towards the south and veers towards the north. The wind goes round and round, and on its rounds, the wind returns. But maybe not actually. Maybe Art Scroll isn't taking a side on this because most of the other translations I've seen assumes that the whole thing is talking about the wind, but that's sort of neither here nor there.
Well, it would sound like it could be the sun, the first two lines, because the lines before that are also
Yeah.
from the sun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, you know, and when I was reading through it, I was thinking about the fact, right, the sun, it moves in the sky, it moves places in the sky. It does sort of veer north or south, depending on what time of year it is and also what time of day it is. So it definitely could be, but I think the more straightforward reading, I think, is that the wind, right? So again, so we've got how much does it help all the work that we're doing under the sun? Each generation it comes and it goes, but the earth sticks around forever, and the sun, it continues to rise, it continues to set. and the wind, it blows round and round, and it continues to blow round and round. Now we're in Pasuk Zion, the 7th verse, Kol hanecholim holchim el hayam, v'hayam einenu mole. Right, all the rivers flow towards the sea, but the sea never fills up. El makom shanecholim holchim sham hem shavim laleches. Right, to the place where the rivers flow, there they flow once more. Or again, other translations say just that the rivers, they continue to flow, right? They flow into the ocean never fills, and the rivers never dry up. Kol advarim yegeim lo yuchal ish ledaber lo sisba ayin liros velo simale ozen mishmoa. Right, all words are wearying. This is another interesting discrepancy. And how to understand it, right? The Art Scroll says all words are wearying and one becomes speechless, right? I guess talking, there's so much to say in this world that eventually you can tire yourself out from trying to say it all. JPS says, all such things are wearisome, no man can ever state them, right? Meaning, according to the JPS, it's referring to everything that we just said. Art Scroll is maybe independent. This is probably Billy. Hold on. Hello. He's connecting audio. Okay.
Story.
Hello,
Story,
hello.
it's you.
How's it going, folks?
Hey.
Can you hear us? Okay, now
No.
we're in. Right on. How's it going, folks? How you guys doing?
Great.
Okay, how you doing?
Good, good. Thank God. Thank God. We're
It
just
took us a while to figure out the link.
fair enough.
Sorry.
Fair enough, fair enough. But it should be I think from now on it'll be the same link every week. So that'll be good.
Okay.
Last week was a temporary link. Basically we've started reading through. I don't know if you've had a chance to look through the first chapter beforehand, or if from past times through you have any thoughts or any burning insights on this chapter so far. Jump in with them, and if not, we're just sort of going through each verse and talking about things as they come up. So to summarize what we've seen so far, right? We started out with, these are the words of Kohelet, and Kressel wondered where's this name Kohelet coming from? And we have 3 basic approaches. Kohelet is language of collecting. So either, according to Rashi, it's because Shlomo collected the wisdom. There's another opinion that Shlomo collected wisdom and decided between it. And then the third approach really is that Shlomo collected the people together in order to share this wisdom with them. So it's some sort of collecting either of wisdom and or of people. And then it starts out this famous idea, right? We say everything is fleeting, right? Hevel havalim. Hevel again is language. It's the same root as breath. So in the same way that a breath is fleeting, it's in, it's out, and then it disappears. So too is this world. Everything that we toil in under the sun. What gain is it? And the earth, it abides forever, and the sun, it rises, and the sun sets, and the wind blows, and it goes in its cycles. There's more words than someone could ever speak. And that's where we are. We're in the 8th verse. Kol hadvarim yegeim lo yuchal ish ledaber, right? Either there's so much in this world to talk about that you just can't talk about it at all, or it's even more focused on the words. There's so much to say that it'll tire you out. Lo sisba ayin liros, velo simale ozen mishmoa. Right, the eye will never be sated from seeing, meaning eyes always will keep taking in images, and ears will continue to take in sounds, right? Your ear doesn't fill up with all the sounds you hear. You continue to hear them, and so too with the eyes. So I want to pause here for a second and just sort of ask, what is the basic tension that's being set up here?
You don't speak.
Hmm?
No,
You know?
No, but
Yeah.
I mean, I
What,
love,
do you remember?
I don't,
Um,
I mean, I remember the Ecclesiastes, I remember Kohelet, but I don't remember exactly the beginning.
I hear it as, if not this, then this, if not this, then this. Is-
Okay. And what about this and this? Like, what about it?
Um. It's, it's, there's a sense of perpetualness.
Okay.
It's
Good.
I don't know.
In what sense is there perpetualness? What's perpetual? What keeps moving? What keeps going?
The sea is never full.
Good. What else?
It's that no man can, all such things are wearisome, no man can ever state them. It's like, it's very extreme.
Okay.
It's talking about things being in the more extreme state matters.
What is that contrasting with? What isn't? What doesn't keep turning? What doesn't keep going?
So the sun and the winds,
So they do keep going, right? All of the physical world, it keeps moving, it keeps at it. But I think he's setting up a tension here, because what's not eternal?
life, like,
What?
and yeah.
But I don't know, at this point, it's just that everything keeps repeating, whatever it is. What, I'm trying to think what the tension is.
Okay.
What is the tension?
So the tension that I'm fishing for, and the tension that I'm picking up on it anyways, is that people are not eternal, right? What we do isn't eternal, right? The generation comes, the generation goes, right? Maybe humankind is eternal. We hope so.
But we keep repeating of death, life, death, life, death, life.
Sorry.
I said,
It's a repetition that people are born, they die, they're born, they die, they're born, they die.
Right. Right.
I mean, our individual selves, I don't know if he's,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's like pushed forward I mean, that's the whole conundrum is that there's, here he is as an individual. And
Good.
what could he see as significant? Since
Good.
everything seems to be, everything that he might be doing has been done 100,000 times before that. And things.
Yeah. So I think beautifully said. I think that is what's going on over here. I think that'll be true for a lot of the book, but that's for sure what's going on over here. He says, look, and again, the sages say that assuming that this is Shlomo HaMelech, the sages say that this was his later in his life. So this is Shlomo HaMelech looking back on how all of his plans and his policies and his kingdom, looking at everything that he did and looking at the ways that, by the end of his kingdom, it started to be a little bit shaky. After Shlomo died, really everything kind of fell apart and devolved into civil war. And so maybe by the end, there's a little bit more reflection on, I strove to do this, I tried to do this. Ultimately, what's going to last? But I think, Billy, I think your point about the individual versus, right? He mentions generations. People are born, people die. People are born, people die. Humankind is eternal to some degree, but the individual really isn't, right? An individual really, on a certain level, without getting spooky and theological, an individual is here and gone, in the span of decades, and that's it.
Yeah, no, now that you say that, I'm trying to, I mean, I guess it's his conundrum over there, and it's an individual's conundrum. But what's interesting about what you're saying is that I'm wondering where he like emphasizes that, okay, I am one person going through one life, and it is different for me. And I'm trying to remember if I saw him make that differentiation before he starts saying like, what's important for me to do or what's important to.
So I think where it's at least implied, I think, is in the beginning where he says, right, in the third verse, he says, what value, what gain is there to a person in all that he does under the sun?
Uh-huh.
I think that verse, I think that verse is essentially speaking to the plight of the individual, right? You get up, you go to your 9 to 5, you bring home a paycheck, that's good, that's wonderful, you pay the bills, and then after years and years of that, it's over and over again, what's that'll once you're gone, that'll be gone. Again, sorry to be depressing, but that's the right.
But that's fine. I said life and death.
Hmm?
Right.
Well, I have two things to say, and I don't know if they necessarily connect to what you're saying, but one is
That's fine.
about this the verse that says, all words are wearying, one becomes speechless, the eye is never sated with seeing, the ear filled with hearing. To me, it sounds kind of like, or it reminds me anyway, of the world that we're living in now, with
Okay.
constant, like, because the internet is like always there, and
Okay.
like, the thoughts of the whole human, every human on the planet is there, and you can tune into it 24/7 if you wanted to.
I hear. Sometimes even if you don't want to.
Yeah. But totally,
Overstimulation. That's
I don't
a
know what this
yeah.
has to do with anything except that my mother is in the other room, and as we're talking, so my mother has Alzheimer's, and like, there's very little left in her memory of her own life,
Okay.
and she's sitting there and she's watching the same movie that she watches every single day, which is Sound of Music, and she's literally,
Really? Wow.
Wow.
yeah, and she's literally singing along. She was singing Edelweiss. You're talking Kohelet, and she's singing Edelweiss.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes me smile.
That's good.
It's very sweet.
Yeah, it fits into the same rhythm too.
Yeah. But that's interesting, right? It makes you smile because we're in many ways that is exactly what Shlomo's talking about. There's a fleetingness there, and there's a repetition there, and there's a sort of what's the lasting impact there, and yet you just said it makes you smile, right? I don't know that Shlomo is saying this or not, but I think that's the beginning of where we can still try to and have to find meaning within all of this, right? We can't leave this safer and come away deciding that nothing matters,
But
so
yeah,
even within these fleeting moments. Yeah, please, Dory, go ahead.
you're actually saying something quite wonderful. There's a lot of research that music and Alzheimer's, music
Hmm.
allows a person to tap into what was once meaningful to them, even if everything else is gone.
Hmm.
And so what you're saying is that she's tapping into something that was once very meaningful to her, and thank God.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I don't know whether the music would be one of the most lasting things in creation or under the sun, but it does seem so.
Yeah, it does seem so. In that sense, it seems so. In the sense that we've been singing the same songs for centuries, that we still listen to music that was written centuries ago. I don't know. Music something else. It's pretty wild. It's one of
Well,
the
I
closest
guess
things to
that,
magic that we have.
I mean, I guess in his like, I mean, I guess this is a little further on, but he starts, it becomes like a repetitive thing with him saying that the things that we enjoy out of this life become the most, that we become the most significant. And music is like one of the ultimate enjoyments that we have.
That's true.
So it's important. I don't know if does he say music in particular?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I
His
haven't
one woman song,
looked far
Yeah,
enough
no,
ahead yet, but
grapes and things
it
like
was
that.
clearly important to him though, because
Yeah,
look,
but the enjoyments of things, as long as like we're cognizant that they're created by God, and have an idea of when we're supposed to do these things, and you know so that we have some sort of assurance that we're supposed to be doing these things at a certain time, that that these are the things that we're supposed to appreciate. And I always think of music as one of those ultimate things that is enjoyable in themselves.
And yet ephemeral.
Right. And doesn't hurt anybody. He doesn't say that though when he talks about, I mean, there's in those things where in those parts where he comes to like resting on that we should enjoy what was been provided for us in creation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if he puts caveats on those things or if he puts like if he puts if he tries to put any definition of the things that is good to enjoy out of the things that we can enjoy from creation. But certainly music, even if he doesn't, is part of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, Shir Hashirim, the Song of Songs. That's
Right.
that's also in this world of Shlomo HaMelech, and David composing songs, right? I think what you're saying is beautiful about music, and I think it did and does play an important role in the world of Kohelet and Shir Hashirim.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look through to see if anything hints.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll with God's help we'll get there. But
Defining the delights of the creation
yeah,
that should be meaningful to us. Yeah.
good. Beseder, I see that we're holding at 8 o'clock over here. So just any
Man,
final thoughts before we
sorry that it took us so long.
No, not at all. Look, this is the very beginning for all of us. We're all still finding our rhythm. And we'll be talking about this chapter again next week because we got halfway through it, which is sort of what I was hoping we would do. But yeah, no, so that's good. So again, just any final thoughts? Otherwise, we'll pick it up again next week.
Just that, yeah.
Yeah,
So
please.
next week we're going to so you're doing it chapter by chapter?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the basic
So
plan.
we'll look to see where these threads go into the next chapter next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a time to sing and a time to.
Is that in the next chapter?
I believe that's the next. No, that's sorry, that's chapter
What's that?
3.
A time for
Time to reap and a time to sow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was that the Birds who turned it into a song?
Yeah.
I think it was the Birds, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think it was actually Pete Seeger that wrote it, but I think the Birds made it a hit.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But
All right, so it has to
I mean, Kohelet wrote it, but
so
yeah.
we're very close. It has to do with the Hudson River.
It could be, yeah. If it's Pete Seeger,
Pete Seeger came to a Stanton Street party years ago.
that's awesome.
Did he?
Really?
Yeah, my son was like 9, now he's 35. But long time.
He was probably my first concert in a local. There was like a local church in the town that I grew up in. I have like very vague memories. I must have been like 4.
Oh, that's right. You were on that river over there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
I've been
that
on his
night,
boat.
right?
I've been on the Clearwater a couple of times.
You have, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so cool.
He was really nice. He came to the party at the Puck building.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a Chabad thing that we went.
Oh,
to
that's
with-
right. Sorry, not Stanton
Not
Street.
Stanton. Okay, still cool. Still
I'm
cool.
gonna miss next week. Sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Oh yeah, and we'll have more conversations about
Yes.
scheduling because I think we're assuming that a lot of people are going to miss maybe the last week of December and the first week of January. So we'll have to
Oh, yeah.
figure
Well,
that out.
the 25th is Hanukkah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, the first night of
then-
Hanukkah.
Yeah,
Among
And
other
then the
things,
first is the last night of Hanukkah.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so.
Bah, humbug.
So we probably won't be meeting during Hanukkah, but we'll see. But
Okay.
this Seder. All right, thanks, folks. I really appreciate.
Thank you.
Okay,
participation,
thanks,
and
Ben.
We'll pick it up when we
Yeah,
can, and don't
Shabbos, yeah.
hesitate to be in touch. So
Okay, yeah, we will.
Very
We'll talk
good.
more on Shabbos. Okay.
very good.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.